was the Dairy Night at Ottawa Street Pool, of which Andy and Ann were there and hosted and made popcorn and played games with the kids and had a great time representing the district and getting our park district information out there. Other events and outreach that we were at Cruise Night this summer. We made the entire series of 14 Tuesdays, I think 2 for actual rainouts, May 26th through September 1st in downtown Plainfield. We were on the corner by the Heritage Professional Center and attracted some attention. We're able to give out a lot of information about the park district. Our primary purpose was for them to see us there, maybe play a game or two, but also just to find out about the park district and learn more about what the park district did and what we had to offer each of them. I know the nights that I was out there, we answered a lot of questions about senior programming, as well as youth programming that was going on for the district. We were also at the library grand finale. That was actually done by Leslie Anderson, who's our Grade Adventures for Preschool coordinator. She's one of the rec supervisors on staff. And she went out to the library grand finale, played games, made some crafts, and also gave out park district information. So I just kind of want to summarize our outreach programs, our special event and outreach that we did throughout the summer. There were 69 opportunities for the public to learn about the park district, which is really exciting for them to come up and to find out what programs that we offer. The events utilized full-time and salaried staff, so in that I do want to thank all the full-time and salaried staff for giving up their hours and being out there in the evenings and being able to represent the park district and speak about what we all have a passion about. They put in 223 hours of time to save the district just over $2,600 in man hours if we were paying part-time staff to be out there. So the total cost for our summer outreach programs, which include the Patriotic Picnic at $18,500, was $22,000, not including those full-time staff hours that we saved. So I thought it was important that you guys see some of that information and see that we were out there, and that we are out there, and that we're excited to be out in the community and letting them know about us and the things that we have to offer. If you have any questions about any of those last events, I'd be happy to answer them.
Is there an estimate on the attendance at this year's Patriotic Picnic? Because it seems like it was the most I've ever seen.
I usually get my estimates from Deputy Chief Stratton as well as the Chief of Police, John Contact, and their feeling was it was once again between 7,000 and 10,000, similar to what we had last year.
Thank you all.
Okay, well,
Wonderful reports.
still have a question.
Sure.
Okay, my question is, okay, since the town's getting bigger, the area's kind of congested, that's a new, issue. People will be coming out to be, because, location, so what, in the future, Carl, or, what do we have in the future in regards to, expanding the location, or a different location, to have this type of events, since the population's getting bigger each year?
Or specifically
For the picture?
Patriotic
Yeah,
Picnic.
right.
We can always look at different venues. We have kept it centralized at this point, but you're right, there are different venues and we can always look at different areas.
One of the changes that we made this year to Patriotic Picnic to help with the overflow was we did shut down Fort Beggs so that people can use the street as well. Because in the past, it's been pretty much centralized to the parking lot, and as it's grown and we've seen growth, it looked like we couldn't really tell the full estimated number of 10,000 possible people because it was more spread out this year, allowing for more space.
Well, my point is, the thing is, we have a temporary solution at this present time. I'm saying for future outlook, what do we have?
Currently, I would,
do we have a
probably
plan?
say with the location that we're utilizing,
Yeah.
we don't have much else that's comparable because of the fireworks distance and the amount of open space that we have all centralized between Menlo Park and the high school's usage area. We don't have a park ourselves that would suffice that same requirements.
Well, I'm just saying, what about Fall Park, that's a big vast.
It would not be able to plow park.
Yes.
We would not be able to have the exact same capacity, just mainly due to the parking aspects and then also due to the,
I'm saying, do we have plans in the future, possibly look into, the future growth, because it's not going to stop.
I understand what you're saying. I mean, right
Besides,
now, we don't currently have anything in the, right now, I can say
I'm
that.
saying something should be in the works.
Possibly down the works, we can look at it, we can look at how the board chooses to go about, we lease the one partial or farmland. Those are some board directives at that point. But right now, with what we have, we are utilizing the best possible space.
Okay, my next point is, regards to, I know it's back to the the school district not allowing us to bring in vendors. Is there kind of negotiations possibly be made where we could bring restaurant vendors in to help support this? That's another item that's been brought up to my attention by residents that the food that the school district kids are serving. That's one thing, but at the same time, we're looking for something.
It's something we started discussions
Okay.
this year.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next is committee reports. Capital and Development, Commissioner Newton.
Yeah, each of those will be discussed when we have the action items.
Okay. All right. Finance and Liability, Commissioner Hurtado, do you have a report from your meeting?
Oh, I didn't also make a report. but,
Well, you don't have to.
Yeah, we look into the interim option for the insurance. Looks like it's still around $50,000. Unfortunately, there's a little gap that would have to be double coverage, but in the long run, I think interim will be a great option for us.
And we do have that on the agenda for tonight, for consensus.
Personnel and Policy, Commissioner Poling, do you have any comments?
She stepped out.
Oh, she stepped out, didn't even see her leave. Well, we'll skip her for now.
I think Commissioner Cavanagh also on that.
Did you want to step in on that?
Sure, I can give a briefing. We reviewed the cell phone policy that you proposed in front of the board tonight. Also, we began reading the risk management policy procedural manual as well as the emergency operations that will be brought before the board. Can you expand on that?
I have one.
I'll catch you.
Sorry. Expand on the emergency operations and risk management.
Everybody has a copy of it now, right? We've got the email with it, and it's very long and tedious, but I think it's really important, so please look it over and give us your comments.
One of the things we did talk about, Matt, is we do need to establish that while it might not be perfect, which no policy can always be perfect, but it will establish just a baseline that we can always go back and edit as we move through. So if some things are missed, some things might be learned through just general operation, but we need to establish that baseline to start with.
Great. Recreation and Marketing, Commissioner Casmark, did you have anything on, any comments on that?
We met and we talked about a lot of the things that the staff presented this evening. Commissioner Hurtado made some suggestions about possibly implementing having the horses come for the patriotic fireworks, and kind of getting them out there before the fireworks. And we just brainstormed some ideas about sponsorships and just other things that we're gonna move forward with exploring in the future.
Next is, thank you everyone, action items. A is asphalt bid.
Basically, this is the seal coating bid we had done last month. We had recommended it, the one that we had received last month, we rejected it, we put it back out to bid, removing the apron at Northwest Community from a base bid to an alternative bid due to the fact that we felt it was coming in way too high. It does include a base bid of the Streams, Recreation Administration Center, Klaus Stevens, Van Horn, and Electric Park, north and south parking lots. And additionally, we did put as an alternative the Eat and Preserve, both the street, or the pathway and the parking lot, which brought the entire price up to $69,756. We had budgeted in the approved capital projects list from June, $65,000, and if we utilize the $4,000 that was originally slated for the Northwest Community apron, we would cover the difference to do all those areas. So you got
Oh, great. Is there a motion and a second for this?
no.
A motion, is there a motion that the park board award the bid to Dentler Asphalt in the amount of $69,765.50
This one, I don't
After the motion.
and approve the director of planning to execute the appropriate agreements? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Okay, the motion was made by Commissioner Hurtado and seconded by Commissioner Newton. Is there any discussion?
We only got one bidder this time again?
Yes. We actually sent it out again to, or not just the repetitive ones we had sent, but different ones this time, going from other references. One other bidder did come in, but after the bid was due, so they were,
Literally about 2 minutes
Yeah.
late for the bid
I
opening.
was gonna say, so, but only two, so we mean, all we got was Denver was their only bid submitted by the
This
contract.
company is the same company that did last time? Or
Yes.
this- same one?
And it's the same price.
Removing the
Yeah, they
the
left
asphalt
the
pavement at
focus
Northwest
basin.
Community, which was the part of the pricing that we didn't agree with.
Is there a follow-up in regards to the specifications, regards to what this bid's all about, regards to type of materials and contract agreements, guarantees, you know, is there anything that you can take a look at?
Yes,
See
sir.
what kind of, and see if they're bonded, you know, their work.
Yes, all of their work, part of the contract, will require that they turn in a performance and payment bond on the contract. So prior to issuing the contract, they do have to turn in a performance and payment bond, which guarantees the quality of the work for at least 1 year. The specifications on the seal coating, the crack filling, and the striping are all set by IDOT specifications.
You know, and you can send us a written copy of the contract in
Sure,
regards,
I
you know,
can send you a copy
or
of it.
we could possibly approve this.
We had sent out the specifications per the bid packet previous,
Yeah.
correct? So the contract will only be upon execution. I don't, what part are you looking for?
I'm looking at your contract and your bid process in regards to what is going to be proposed here, what we're going to be doing. Right now, I just see it here, like I said, asphalt.
Right, we had sent that out in the weekly update when we
Yeah,
did the
we
bid
did
process.
get that.
Right.
Because that was what was
We don't
requested
have
on the
sufficient
special.
information in regards to what I'm looking for.
I thought it was very specific, I thought it was very,
No maintenance terms, but I'm looking for detail in regards to the type of product and they're going to be laying out and, you know, what's the guarantee on the product.
Can you have all the IDOT specifications
I
sent?
can, and part of the requirement is that the contractor would have to turn in the product specifications to make sure that they comply with IDOT. So prior to starting the project, we will actually have the material, the exact vendor material. He's recommending Sealmaster right now, so I'll get the spec sheets on Sealmaster, and we'll have to compare those to make sure that they meet the requirements of IDOT. So you can use any type
Well, I
or
think
brand,
that's
but they
great
have
that,
to meet those requirements, yes.
like I said, I hate to say that, you know, we pay for this, you know, set this thing in motion, we don't know where we're heading. So until we have something in hand, at least for me, you know, I like to see what we're going to be paying for.
Is there any other discussion on this, or is the consensus of the board that we move forward with this?
And this is something we ever used before, for the purposes.
No, all the references, they've been used at the Naperville Park District, the Plainfield School District 202, Oswego School District, and Oakton College, the 4 references that we contacted.
Roll call.
Ayers,
Yes.
Hurtado,
Yeah.
Casbar,
Yes.
Ludenman,
Yes.
Newton,
Yes.
Oley,
yes.
Styles,
No.
motion carries.
Okay, item D is the concrete bid.
Yes. We had put in also in our capital improvement plan, looking at the pathway because of the ADA issues along the west side of Electric Park. One of the things that was brought out of the capital committee was to investigate it both in asphalt and concrete. When we did such, the asphalt quote came in at $48,000. The concrete quote with the contractor that we've used, I believe twice since I've been here, and one of them is being the Mary Park redevelopment, came in at $49,000. So we thought for the difference in about $1,500, or, I'm sorry, yeah, about $1,500, it would be more efficient to create a pathway in concrete for longevity and less maintenance.
Is there a motion that the Park Board of Commissioners award the bid to Forsey Systems Incorporated in the amount of $49,341.20 and approve the Director of Planning to execute the appropriate agreements? Any discussion on that one? Motion was made by Commissioner Newton and seconded by Commissioner Ayers. Roll call.
Ayers,
Yes.
Hurtado, Casbar,
Abstain.
Goodman,
Yes.
Newton,
Yes.
Poland,
Yes.
Steines,
No.
motion carries.
Okay, item C, vehicle purchases.
I'm just gonna give a quick overview of all three vehicles that are on the agenda. We had talked about which vehicles needed replacement when we did the capital improvement project once again. We had talked about that we'd be utilizing the state bid process for this, so we would have to individually bid each individual vehicle, and we went through that. The one thing with the state bid this year is due to the situation in Springfield, they did not issue a bid, so they're honoring the last bid that went through, so any new vehicles going through are still under 2014 pricing. So right now, there's no increase in pricing, and all the dealers are honoring the exact same pricing at this point.
Can we get them to do that next year?
That's a good deal.
So then there's three vehicles on the list, and we can go through each one as they're presented.
Okay. Is there a motion that the Park Board of Commissioners authorize the Director of Parks to purchase one 2016 Ford F-450 regular cab 4x4 chassis dump truck utilizing Illinois State Purchase Number 4017340 through Bob Ridings Ford of Taylorville, Illinois, for a total price of $37,505. Okay, a motion was made by Commissioner Newton and seconded by Commissioner Ayers. Any discussion?
Ayers.
Yes.
Hurtado. Casbar.
Yes.
Goodman.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Poland.
Yes.
Steines, motion carries.
Is there a motion that the Park Board of Commissioners authorize the Director of Parks to purchase one 2016 Ford F-350 two-wheel drive crew cab pickup with liftgate using Illinois State Purchase Number 4017340 through Bob Ridings Ford of Taylorville, Illinois, for a total price of $34,860? Okay, a motion was made by Commissioner Newton and seconded by Commissioner Ayers. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ayers.
Yes.
Hurtado. Casbar.
Yes.
Goodman.
Yes.
Newton. Poland.
Yes.
Steines,
Yes.
motion carries.
And is there a motion that the Park Board of Commissioners authorize the Director of Parks to purchase a new 2016 Ford F-250 4x4 crew cab pickup through Illinois State Purchase 4017340 through Bob Ridings Ford of Taylorville, Illinois, for a price of $27,055?
Second.
Okay, a motion was made by Commissioner Newton and seconded by Commissioner Ayers. Any discussion on that?
I'm gonna hold it. Can we go with gas now, motor in there again, or?
Yes, staff recommendation was gas motor. Again, the last evaluation we did, and actually speaking to the dealers on our type of usage for the vehicle. At that point.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Ayers.
Yes.
Hurtado. Casbar.
Yes.
Goodman.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Poland.
Yes.
Steines, motion carries.
Item D, cellular telephone policy.
We have been looking through it, but currently the district provides several staff a telephone at this point. We are not looking to move away from providing daily telephones because we do not have radios, especially within our parks department. But we are looking moving away from providing 24-hour telephones with this staff, and we also put some stipulations on how we should be utilizing our phones. What we did put in there is a stipend amount, which when you use the stipend amount, comes out to approximately the exact same amount as what we're paying monthly with the other plan for our entire cell phone bill. And actually, as parity, is currently the rec department is using their personal phones with no coverage through the park district right now. So we did feel this puts parity between it, also adds a little bit of policy to how we utilize our phones, and takes us out of the aspect of having to worry about hardware and constant update.
Is there a motion that the Park Board of Commissioners approve the cellular telephone policy as presented?
I so move.
Okay, a motion was made by Commissioner Poland and seconded by Commissioner Hurtado. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Ayers. Hurtado.
No.
Casbar.
Yes.
Goodman.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Poland.
Yes.
Steines,
Bingo.
motion carries.
Okay, now we're up to item E. Resolution 2015-07, amending articles of agreement for the Special Recreation Association.
Last year, when the LCSRA with the Bolingbrook Park District was doing their fiscal year, their manager came in and gave a presentation raising our base rate to $385,000 as the growth of the LCSRA inclusion has gone on. with last year's budget. We had approved it, but one of the things, as I was going through it and speaking with the director of Bolingbrook, he had never put a formal agreement to it or amended the agreement that we had in place. So what I'm looking for is to have a resolution that we work with Park District Council on that amends the articles of agreement for the SRA, putting it at a new base rate of $385,000 without a CPI growth moving forward. So the only way the amount would go up again is if there's any request to the Park District Board for an increase here.
Is there a motion that the Park Board Commissioners approve Resolution 2015-07 as presented?
I so moved.
A motion was made by Commissioner Kazmark and seconded by Commissioner Hurtado. Is there any discussion?
Ayers?
Yes.
Hurtado?
Yep.
Kazmark?
Yes.
Rudman?
Yes.
Newton?
Yes.
Foley?
Yes.
Steiny? Motion carries.
We have no old business. Next is new business. Next item is the district's property liability and workers' compensation insurance coverage.
And just tailing off of what Commissioner Hurtado spoke about, what we spoke to committee, is we had looked at the other carrier that is possible, or that is a good potential for insuring the Park District, and this would merge both our workers' comp and our property and liability into one umbrella under a Park District Risk Management Agency. Right now, as we go through the steps, even though a formal board approval wouldn't come until we would be formally accepted by the membership, and that wouldn't happen in December, we want to make sure the board is in favor of moving in this direction, and there's a consensus by the board that if we are granted possible membership, would we be willing to accept it before we go through all the steps, going through all this aspect. One of the things with it is currently we are paying a total of $203,737 for our workers' comp and our through IPRF, and then through iParks $97,763. The Paderma estimate that we were given approximately a year ago is $144,505 for a difference of $59,232. Additionally, with iParks, our costs are based on our property value, so as we grow as a district or any additions, the cost of that does go up. For Paderma, our costs are based on our operating budget. So the way our fees would go up is if our budget went up.
So we're gonna save $50,000 by making this change.
Yes.
Wow.
And the other thing is Paderma does bring a lot more in the safety realm of things, through trainings, that it's more than online video, they actually post hands-on trainings. They have a little bit more of an intensive loss management or risk management program that goes with it as well. One of the questions that was raised to me by Commissioner Hurtado in the committee meeting was about the rating, Commissioner Hurtado. Paderma does not have a rating. They do have though, and I have an email, I'm sorry. They are in the they follow 4 net position level benchmarks in which they work on. They're in the 75th percentile in regards to their best capital adequacy ratio of a peer group of comparable high-quality insurance companies with an AM best company of A or higher. The peer group will be reviewed by the Finance Committee yearly. The 75th percentile of the peer group of the comparable public entity insurers that are rated by AM best. A 95th confidence level risk margin, a net premium to position ratio that is lower than the midpoint of the industry benchmark premium to net position range, representing a peer group of comparable public entity insurers, to go with the financial information that was presented.
Is there any other discussion on this? No, everybody's quiet. Is there a board consensus for staff to move forward in this direction with this?
Sounds to me like it's a good choice.
Can you also just real briefly share the other, I'm sorry,
Sure.
surrounding townships that utilize Paderma?
We currently with iParks, we are pretty much the biggest park district that iParks has at this point. Paderma, Oswego has Paderma, Oswego I believe has Paderma, yes, Oswego, Bolingbrook, Naperville, Lockport Township, Fox Valley, most of the districts, Paderma has in their liability and comprehensive side of things, 103-ish park districts, and we are already currently part of their health membership.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is the master plan capital improvement presentation.
As we've continued to work through the master plan with design perspectives, Todd Staten is here to just give us an update. We went through the capital aspect of it over the last couple of weeks. So he's gonna present a little update on that. Our goal is to hopefully have a draft to the board by the end of September, early October, so that we can move forward for an adoption prior to we get to the fiscal year 2016. Todd?
We spent a bit of time working on the capital plan. It's a very lengthy process. You have a lot of parts that needed our attention and sort of review. But what I wanted to show tonight was just an overview of the major projects we identified. If you'll remember about 2 months ago, Robbie and I were here talking about the GRASP concept of rating the different parks that we have, and improvements we identified, and just generally how things were going in terms of the existing park system. What I wanted to do tonight was just give you a quick overview of some of the improvements that sort of came out of some of that discussions. And as Carlos said, we will be moving forward with working on the final step, which is the goals and objectives with staff. And then we'll have a full complement of looking forward for the next month or two, or however long it takes to get the plan in the format that you feel comfortable adopting as you move into 2016. So just a short overview of the objectives. Working with Carlo and looking at some of your capital budgeting, about a $2 million mark over the next 5 years seems to be very comfortable in terms of the first step into a CIP development. We want to identify the priority projects for the next 5 years, which you'll see some of those shortly. We want to look at an investment into all planning areas of the district. Now you have 4 planning areas: northwest, northeast, southeast, and southwest. So even though the southwest has the bulk of your level of service, other areas also need your attention. So you'll see that coming up. We're looking to reinvest across the district, which would be something that we'd like to see. We want to do an investigation for the investment of indoor facilities, as the Park District is very land rich. It's facility poor to some extent. So we want to look at what are the next steps to bring in some indoor spaces, particularly to help recreation. As the oil grows, they need different spaces, different uses to grow the programming. And lastly, as you heard tonight, Ottawa Street Pool, historical attribute for the district, but sooner or later it's going to need some direction. Do we keep it? Do we renovate it? Do we move it? What do we do with that facility as it ages gracefully? We want to know what do we want to do in the future for the pool, which was part of our surveys. We have some data on that as well as how it operates. So we will come back with some ideas in terms of indoor aquatics and also your park spaces. So looking at the analysis, we identified $12.5 million worth of capital projects. That's just for parks alone. That's things that need improvements from just basics to providing some pizzazz into the system, as we talked about today. So it covers the entire spectrum of new elements, community expectations, and just kind of keeping the system current and up to date. We would like to advance trail connections to parks. There are many opportunities to connect parks and provide more accessibility. As Robbie showed, there are some boundaries to that. We're very conservative in our planning, but looking at trail connections is very, very important. Trails and walking paths are always the #1 component in these surveys, so that ties into sort of the community needs and expectations. We want to look at ongoing equipment replacement cycles, both from a park system as well as a equipment standpoint. So trucks and tools and weed whackers and mowers and playgrounds, they all kind of go into a replacement cycle, which we're working on. Like I said, we want to look into the indoor spaces, looking at some short-term opportunities to maybe look at a build-out of the rest of the space at the township building here, right next door. Wonderful space that could be turned into many different things. We also are aware of potential to look at leasing some space for the church, which also provides some much-needed indoor recreation space in terms of active use. And then lastly, we want to develop a really long-term solution for those indoor spaces. Those are all wonderful short to medium-term solutions, but you really should have sort of your own, and that's where we need to go in the future. And then lastly, just the future for the pool. So just a quick summary of what Robbie and I worked on back in July. As you can see, as we noted, the northeast sector has the least level of service. Let's see if I can do this. I don't know if it's...
Now you know why we were out there.
That's why I don't. Okay, we're back. Okay, So I'm not gonna mess with this, I'll skip. 60%, just the northeast section was one that was particularly singled out in our analysis, as well as the southeast section at 57%. So we're not hitting our rhythm in terms of providing the level of service that we expect out in those two quadrants, for example. Whereas the other two are 51 and 47. So looking at how you define your planning boundaries, we're looking at different investments into each quadrant. So the northeast section would be approximately $125,000 over the next 5-year period with several projects.